Hey everybody, I'm Jordan with Warpfire Minis, and today's challenge game is against Gloomspite Gitz. So whenever I'm going into Gloomspite, kind of the things I gotta watch out for is Skragrott can just pick off my heroes pretty easy with the Fangs of the Bad Moon spell. So I want to try and keep them out of those ranges for that for as long as I can. And then for the mission, we rolled lines of communication. So there's just 3 objectives right there in the middle. So hopefully I can get a good prayer off with Skaven, shut down one of those objectives, try and get up a point or 2, and then just hold on for dear life. But let's jump into it, see how it goes. Alright, so here we are with Gloomspite Gitz, and first up I'll just run you through his list. Starting out, he had 2 squads of 20 Shootas. And these guys, they don't do a ton of damage, but the little bit of chip they do is impactful, especially into me with bad saves and bad bravery. He's got a squad of 6 Rockguts, and they're just indestructible. Their powerhouses do a ton of damage, especially when comboed with the Dankhold Troggboss, who is his general. He's got the Glowy Howzit for a 4-up ward. Then he is also an Alpha Trogg, which makes him a monster. Then right behind him, we have a Loonboss on Mangler Squig. Just a super fast, hard-hitting thing. He can zoom over to 20 clan rats and just blow them all up. 10 Boingrot Bounderz, same idea. Both of the Squig units, they can run and charge when under the light of the Bad Moon, which is pretty much all the time. So with these 3 objectives, they can go all the way from this one over to this one in one fell swoop and just blow stuff up. Then we've got Skragrott, good wizard, puts everybody under the light of the Bad Moon. And then for me, specifically for my grand strat, I got to keep my foot heroes alive. And his spell, Fangs of the Bad Moon, can just point at one and delete it. You roll dice equal to the casting roll. Every 3-up is a mortal wound, so pretty easy to do 5 or 6 there and just kill Plague Priests. And then all the way in the back is the Gobbapalooza. And those guys, they just give little buffs. They can cast Fungoid Cloud to do -1 to hit. They can pick a unit, give it an extra point of rend. And they're just a really good support unit. But anyways, this is how deployment looked like. He ended up out-dropping me and gave me the first turn, so we'll just jump into it. Speed Skaven, top of 1. Alright, so to start my turn out, I gotta choose a battle tactic, and it's gonna be Magical Dominance or outside of 30. That's what you do most of the time, turn 1. For stances on Screech, I choose -1 to hit. This is one where if he doubles me early, I just lose. So going -1 to hit, we're just giving ourselves a little insurance in case he does get the double turn. Then we go for prayers and stuff. Skaven befouls this objective. We get a bless onto these clan rats. And then we fail the last prayer, but we got the reroll off, so we're going to be rerolling prayers the rest of the game. Then from there, it's a pretty easy turn. We're just jumping to movement, and we start out moving these clan rats here. They run up. Then we run this furnace on to touch. We send Skaven's guys down just to barely touch the objective. And the goal here is we want to be outside of 2 inches of the front line of these clan rats, so that way his Boingrots can't just fight through them. Then we send Skaven up there as well. Another Plague Priest runs over this way. These clan rats go for a run. The Hell Pit runs up here just to get close to these objectives for next turn. Purple Gracier runs up here to get in range for his bodyguard. Blue Gracier does the same. And then for Screech, we run him back around here. And end up movement phase. Pop him to the gnaw hole, pop him back, just so we can get inside that little bubble. Then it's important here, I was setting up to be within 30 of his wizards. And also to be outside of 24 of Skragrott, so that we can potentially deny that Fangs of the Bad Moon just killing our heroes right out the gate. He could still teleport and then try to cast it, so there's still ways around it, but at least stay out of range of that turn 1 or turn 2 if you can, to make him then work for it. So then just looking at my position, I had to hold 2 objectives to score max. And so normally if I can try and deny Moonlight Raid, it's just where they have to control an objective under the light of the Bad Moon. They have to take one away from you. So normally I like to stay off of them if I can, but if I went to this objective, he can just walk on it. Even if I ran full speed over here, he was going to be able to get enough bodies, plus those Boingrots would be able to get over and touch that objective. So there was just no stopping it for me. So we just stayed pretty far back, trying to avoid the hit turn 1, score our 5 points, and we'll go into Gitz bottom of 1. So first up for Gitz, he chooses his battle tactic, which is Moonlight Raid, and he chooses the center objective. Just going to take it away from me pretty easy. Then jumping into spells, he rolls for his Fangs of the Bad Moon, and he rolls Boxcars, natural 12, adds a primal so I can't unbind it, and Skragrott does 8 mortal wounds to Skaven's boys, which kills 4 of them. And so now I only have 1 of those guys left to help deny objectives, which could have been big later in the game, but he knows that he's targeting them, just trying to remove them from the game as quick as he can. Then only other notable thing was he went to cast Fungoid Cloud this turn, and he miscasts and does 3 mortal wounds to his Gobbapalooza, which kills one. From there we go into movement, and he runs these Shootas up. He runs the Trogboss up. And then he was just too far, like he could move the trolls and then try and get in, but it would have been too far of a charge, so he's using that extra movement, getting ready if he can get that double just to come in and crash into me. The trolls run up behind. Over here, this squad of Shootas just does a regular move. And just to point out on his Shootas here, we've played a lot of games against each other. And so he's making sure to string those back to keep me out for my deep strikes. He doesn't want me to be able to just deep strike right into the middle of it, kill a bunch of his good stuff, or get to his Loon Shrine. And so by stringing those out, he's just denying me from being able to jump there to the back part of the board. Then he just pushes the Mangler up just a little bit, Skragrott behind. The Gobbapalooza move up behind them, and the Boingrots, they just get up a little bit as well. And with the Mangler and the Boingrots, he was just kind of playing a slower game here. He could have just full sent and then crashed them into stuff. But then like my Hell Pit's going to fight back and kill some of them. He's going to take heavier losses than he wants to. And then if I get the turn, then I'm going to really put a hurting on him. So by staying back, he's making it to where like my only true engagement is into these trolls. And that's just never where you want to be. Then he goes into the shooting phase. He shoots these Stabas, and I all out defense, he all out attacked. He ends up killing Skabek's last guy, so the befouling the objective will not be impactful for the rest of the game. Then that ends up being it for the turn. He gets his 1-2 more tactic. We're tied up 5-5, going into a big priority roll. We roll it off, and I win the prio, and I could give him the turn and then try and double back, but I think he's going to delete too much stuff. Between the Mangler, the Boingrots, and now all the trolls crashing in, it would be a bad time for me. So I go ahead and take the turn. So let's just go top of 2 Skaven. So first thing going into my turn, I've got to choose my battle tactic. And for right now, we have all 3 of our priests alive. We got the reroll prayer thing triggered to turn 1. So we're going to go ahead and just chant 3 prayers while we can, score an easy battle tactic. And then we're going to set up for a really defensive turn. My game plan is I'm going to run these clan rats to make a screen here. Then I'm just going to build another screen here. Get Death Frenzy on the Hell Pit, send him over here to kill these Stabas. And then that way the trolls, even if he doubles me back, they're going to hit one screen of clan rats, stop. The next turn with the double, he'll hit the next squad of clan rats and stop. And the only things that'll really be able to get to me are going to be the Boingrots and the Mangler, which I should be able to just tango with for a little bit. So we go into do our spells and our prayers. So first up we go with Skabek, and we're just going to get a bless off on these clan rats. I roll the prayer and I roll a 1. Bummer, but no big deal, we can re-roll it. Pick it up, roll it again, and I roll another 1, which means battle tactic failed, and I take a mortal wound. And so that's just, sometimes bad things happen. I think the odds of rolling a 1 twice in a row is something like 3%, a little bit less. But that's going to happen to you some games. And so now my plan of playing a slow game, playing defensively, and using my screens to just hold on does not work. I'm now down 2 points. Gitz have very easy battle tactics, so he's going to score his for the rest of the game. So I need to switch up. How do I gain these points back? And with the way things are, my only play to get those points back is I'm going to have to kill his Dankhold Troggboss. That's normally something you don't really want to go for. He's so tanky. He's got a 4-up ward. With the Alpha Trogg, he's got the extra wounds. There's just never a guarantee with the 4-up ward that you're going to do it. But that is my only path to victory that is left, just knowing that he's going to score his tactics. And he's got the double on his side if he gets that at some point in the game. So our whole plan is gone. We're going to full send into this Trogboss and see what we can do. Next up, we go for a Death Frenzy onto the Hell Pit, and we miscast. We take 3 mortal wounds, and we shrug none of them. We go for a Wither into the Rockguts to give them -1 to help us, like, we're going in, let's try and debuff them a little bit, but we fail it. We go for a Skid Relief, we fail. We go for Mystic Shield on Screech, we fail the spell. We end up just failing the rest of our spells for the whole turn. We do get some prayers off. We end up healing this 1 wound off of Skabek. And then we go for the one where we pick a point and do mortal wounds. And I get the prayer off, but you got to roll a 4-up to do the mortal wounds, and we fail. And that's big just for the Trogboss with that Glowy Howzit. If you do damage to him, at the end of that phase, he has to roll a dice. And on a 1, his 4-up ward is gone for the rest of the game. So I was trying to hopefully trigger that to do some damage to him. Like, I tried to get an Arcane Bolt to throw it, and just nothing was working out. And on this prayer again, it didn't work out either. So We're going to just have to send in, hope we can power through that 4 up ward. So now going into movement, we run these clan rats just full out of the way. We move the hell pit up. He goes for a redeploy and gets 2-inch redeploy. We run the Gracier over here just to be next to the bodyguard. Screech moves up to be outside of 3. We run this Gracier up here to get next to his bodyguard. And 2, just keeping him to where once everything starts happening, we want him to be within 12 to try and go for a big blizzard. Again, we got to kill that guy. It's our only path to make up the points. Over here, we run these clan rats up here outside of 3. Plague first moves up at 6. And then the 2 heroes, they go over here just to get next to the bodyguard for at least the shooting attacks. And then in a movement, we've got to send everybody in. We got to make the play. All right, so we dropped in the PCBs and we dropped in the gutter runners. Just, again, we're trying to full send into this guy right now. We go to our shooting phase. The gutter runners shoot in. We do 2 damage to the Trogboss. Screech shoots its tail attacks into him too. We're just trying to stack up as much damage as we can, try and get one through, hope the ward goes away. But between all the damage that we do, he rolls his wards and wards off every single point, takes 0 damage for real. And we go to the charge phase. We start off with our drill. We roll it a 6. We've got to re-roll it. We need that 9. Re-roll it into a 7. So that's not going to get either one of the deep strike units in. We then roll the charge for the PCBs. We fail. We roll the charge for the gutter runners. We fail. And so now I've got Screech I could send into him, but he's just not going to get it done. By charging into the Dankhold, I'm going to now engage those Rockguts, and I'm not going to kill the Trogboss. Screech is going to die, and so I just can't go in. So we look at what can we do. We do charge in the hell pit over here, and we do send in the furnace. We just leave Screech out, and we go to combat phase. We roar the Shootas over here. My artifact doesn't proc start a combat phase to do mortal wounds. And we fight with the hell pit first, and he does clear the whole squad of Shootas. Which, once destroyed, reveal that that's where his unit of 5 Fanatics were hidden. And so they pop out, and boom, they're in combat there. He goes over to the Shootas over here, does no damage to the Furnace. Furnace fights into him and kills 10 of them. Then the Fanatics, they pile in, they fight, and they do 12 damage to the hell pit. He auto-passes Bravery on the Shootas, and that's the whole turn. Then just for scoring, I do get my 1-2 more, but I fail my battle tactic because I rolled those 1s. So only 3 points this round, going into Gitz, bottom of 2. So first up for Gitz, his battle tactic this turn is going to be led into the Maelstrom. Just charge a hero in a battle line. He's going to send a bunch of stuff in, so just staying in combat shouldn't be too difficult. We go into spells. He goes for another Fangs of the Bad Moon, probably to try and get one of my heroes this turn, but I unbind it. Goes for a Mystic Shield, I unbind it. Then he goes for a Fungoid Cloud and gets that one off. And that one's just a -1 to hit. Just really going to take a lot of my damage away this turn. And if I win priority, it's going to hit me again the next turn too. The Gobbapalooza give the Rend buff to the Mangler Squig, and then we'll just go into movement. Notably, the moon is in the middle of the battlefield for this whole battle round. So starting off the Mangler Squig, he moves 1,000,000 inches over this way. The Boingrots move down this way. And when he moves those, I go in and I redeploy. Trying to get away from those guys, but also making a screen here with Screech. Make it to where these 2 pieces of terrain are impassable. And so I make it to where his Rockgut base doesn't fit through. And I'm going to lose Screech this round, I think. So at least try and protect this stuff to give me a hope afterwards. I'm outside of 3 of all the trolls, so he doesn't even need to move those. But he does retreat these goblins out of combat. And he's just using those again to try and screen the trolls out from the furnace coming in on the side. Then Skragrott and the Gobbapalooza, they just move up. From there, the Rockguts shoot into Screech, and they do 4 mortal wounds. I ward none of them, and I take 4. I had Finest Hour Screech this turn. I know he's coming in. We're going to try and weather it. And then from there, we're just going to go into the charge phase. Over here, the Mangler Squig charges in. The Boingrots here charge in. And this is just to proc their mortal wounds. He's going to see if he can kill the Hell Pit with this charge proc. So that way, if I do stay alive, he can kill me when he fights first with the Fanatics. But he doesn't. He leaves the Hell Pit on 1 wound. Charges the Dankhold in and rolls kind of low, but has to use it. And then the Rockguts come in as well, as far as they can. We go to Monstrous Rampages. The Mangler Squig does his boing and flies 3d6 over here into the Clan Rats. The Trogboss goes to roar Screech and fails. Then I go to roar and I roar into the Rockguts and I succeed. And then for the Hell Pit over here, he stomps and we kill 1 Fanatic. Those guys, they're 1 wound each, so like you're really hoping if you can get a big stomp, you can just kill 3 of them and really hurts their damage output. But we go to combat phase. The Fanatics, they have a rule where they just always fight first. They fight, they kill the hell pit, and I fail the roll to stay alive. I rolled a 1 on this, so I didn't even do D3 mortal wounds to everything nearby. Would have been nice to at least do some damage to those to kill a couple. Then it goes to his regular combat, and he fights with the Rockguts next. I all-out defend Screech. He swings, and he rolls pretty poorly. I roll like a golden god, and Screech stays alive. He only takes 3 damage. Next combat, it goes to me. Normally with Screech here, I just want to run away. But again, with these being impassable, even if I get outside of 3, like this guy charged, he's still going to be able to get right back into my combat range. So there's nowhere for me to run. So I go ahead and I fight into the Troggboss. And here's just, I want to do some damage, hopefully kill that ward, and then next turn try and kill him. At least get some sort of value for Screech before he dies. So we swing everything in the Troggboss and we do 3 damage. Goes to his combat, he fights with the Mangler Squig and kills all 20 clan rats. Then the Troggboss swings, does 2 damage to Screech. Screech lives like a true champion, earning his title as the King of the Rats. Then the end of his turn, since he had 1 unit that was destroyed, those Shootas from earlier, he gets to roll on his Loon Shrine. He rolls the 4 up and they come right back to life. And so then we go into scoring. He gets his 1-2 more tactic, 5 points. Another big priority roll. If I lose this one, I'm probably in trouble. But we roll it and I win the priority roll. I have to take the turn. We can keep Screech alive. And I've got all my firepower still. So like here, I can hit a big death frenzy on these PCBs, launch them into him. We can have a great turn things around here. So here we go, Skaven top of 3. So first up for my battle tactic, I'm going to do Surround and Destroy. And I'm going to do it with this Green Plague Priest and the 2 drills. I can run 1 drill straight back, this drill over to the Gnawhole, pop out over here, and then just send the Plague Priest over here to the side of the board. So easy battle tactic this round. For the stance this turn, we go +1 cast on Screech. And here's just, I'm trying to proc a good Treaded 13th would be nice. Having +1 to unbind his spells when he goes to cast them will be nice. And if I go into a glaive stance, like, I just can't stay here and fight. If I do, I die. So I have to bring him out, so that's going to let him contribute while not being in combat. In the hero phase, the Troggboss, he always heals D6, so he just goes back to full strength. And we go to my spells and prayers. He ends up rallying back some of these Stabbas. But I go to cast a prayer over here. I get it off. It's the one to do mortal wounds to these guys. I don't do any mortal wounds, but we do proc a Great Plague. We kill a bunch of these Shootas right here. Then we go for Screech's Dreaded 13th. We get it off. It doesn't get unbound. We choose those Shootas again, and between both of those combined, we kill that whole squad of them. Screech had 8 mortal wounds, so that's going to get us a squad of 8 clan rats. We summon in those right over here. We go for an Arcane Bolt, trying to put it into the Troggboss. We do, and he wards it off. We go for the Blizzard on the Blue-Gray Seer, and we miscast and take 3 mortal wounds. Then over here, we go for a Death Frenzy on these guys. We fail. We go for a Wither onto the Rockguts. We fail. We get a Bless Off onto this squad of clan rats, and that's going to take us into the movement phase. So going into movement, we run this guy over here. We run this guy here. The drill runs all the way back for my tactic. This drill runs over here to the Gnawhole for the tactic. Plague Priest runs over here for the tactic. We move the Plague Furnace over this way. Just for me looking at it, I'm not going to be able to take this objective back between the Mangler, the Fanatics, and the Boingrots. So I need to make a play on this one. So the first thing to come in, kill these 10 little Stabbas in the back to get bodies off of the objective. And then hopefully the Gutter Runners and PCBs can crash in, clear enough of this stuff out where we'll take it. We go ahead and retreat Screech out. We manage to be able to stay on the objective outside of 3. Just to be bodies on. These clan rats also move over this way, towards the objective. Skabbik runs over that way as well. And then we move up the PCBs and the Gutters. Go into shooting, and again, the Gutter Runners, we shoot everything into the Troggboss. We do a few damage. He rolls on the thing, doesn't eat his artifact. We were really hoping if I could proc that, then I know I could just boom, send all the PCBs into him and likely take him down. But with him still having the ward, that's not guaranteed, and I need to make sure I clear enough bodies off the objective. So we just go into the charge phase. The Furnace charges in, which lets us charge these clan rats in as well. And these guys are just, if he kills those Stabbas, or those Shootas, the clan rats will then be able to pile onto the objective just to be more bodies on for next turn. And in a movement phase, this guy hopped over here for the tactic. Then now that I know that the Furnace and the Clan Rats are both going to make it onto the objective, I'm feeling better about the bodies on. So I want to keep my bodies alive. So these Gutter Runners, we're going to try and play a little bit safer with them. But we charge in the PCBs. And I end up deciding against sending them in, just to keep them alive, keep some bodies on. Monstrous Rampages, he hits a roar into the PCBs. Start combat, my artifact triggers and does 4 mortal wounds to these Shootas. And the PCBs fight, and between Fungoid Cloud making them hit on 4s, and all the wards and stuff involved, I end up killing 2 Rockguts, and we do a few more damage to the Trogboss. And I split attacks into there again, just we're trying to trigger that Glowy Howzit to go away. We need that to happen to reliably take him out later on. He fights with the little Shootas, they don't do anything. Plague Furnace fights and clears them all out. Then the Rockguts and the Trogboss fight. They end up killing 4 or 5 Clan Rats on this side, and then they end up killing 6 of the PCBs. But I still got these Clan Rats, they then pile on 3. Skragrott fights, does 1 or 2 damage to the Furnace, but that's pretty much the turn. I end up holding 1, 2 more. I do get my battle tactic for the surround, so 5 points, we're keeping pace. Still going to need something to go right. The PCBs, they auto-pass now from being in range of the Furnace. That was another big reason we wanted to send it over that way. Alright, so we're going over to Gitz, bottom of 3. His battle tactic is going to be bait and trap. He's just going to retreat a couple guys out, charge a couple guys. Should be pretty easy. Goes into spells. I unbind Fangs again. We're trying to keep those heroes alive, so that's where all my primals are going. Gets Fungoid Cloud up again, so -1 to hit's going to be a bummer. The Gobbapalooza give the Boingrots the extra point of rend, and then we'll go into movement. For his 2 retreats, he ends up retreating the Dankhold Troggboss. He's kind of caught wind of what I'm trying to do as far as taking him out, so he's backing him up to be a little bit safer. Skragrott also retreats out, so that's 2 units. The Gobbapalooza just kind of scooch over and hang out with Skragrott. This turn I had Finest Hour the Plague Furnace. I'm just thinking that if he wanted to go down here and get into Screech, he's so hurt that it's going to happen. But he ends up sending the Boingrots over here towards the Furnace anyways. Gets outside of 3. The Mangler Squig also moved 1,000,000 inches over this way. Fanatics went over this way. He's going to kill the drill and just set up a surround and destroy later for himself. And then the Rockguts, they just stay put. They're right where they want to be on the objective. We go to shooting and they kill another PCB. And charges. The Mangler Squig charges over here. Boingrots charge in to the Furnace. They end up doing another 3 mortal wounds on the impacts. Fanatics go into the drill. And we go to Monstrous Rampages. The Mangler goes for a Boing and comes over here to this objective. And we go to combat. Start a combat phase. I'm hoping my artifact procs and kills a couple of these things to help me stay alive, but it doesn't. It does 0 damage. We go into his first of combat is going to be those Boingrots. The Plague Furnace right now, it's -1 to hit, -1 to wound. It's +1 to save. I all-out defense. He gives the Boingrots an all-out attack. They fight in and they kill the Furnace. I think it was directly to the wound. Exact amount of damage he needed. And that was a pretty risky play as far as getting it, but now that he did, it's gonna hurt for me. The Fanatics, they also fight first and kill the drill. And goes over to me. Clan Rats aren't gonna do anything to the Mangler Squig, so I pile in with the PCBs. We kill 1 Rockgut. Mangler fights, kills all the Clan Rats. And the Rockgut swing into the PCBs and kill 1. End of the turn, he rolls on his Loon Shrine and gets another 10 Shootas back. Then for scoring, he holds this one and this one for 1, 2 more. Got his battle tactic, 5 points. He's got his 2-point lead and hold on to it. Priority roll, I win it and I have to take the turn, so we do. We'll go into Skaven, top of 4. We're starting to feel it right now. We don't have a lot of power left on the board. But tactic-wise, we got Invaders is a nice easy one for us to do. I don't necessarily want to get stuck in combat this turn with the lead into the Maelstrom, so Invaders are going to let me try and position and do stuff while staying somewhat safe. And so we'll jump into spells. For Screech, we put him into the healing stance. He heals 2. We Heroic Recovery and heal 3. So he's back to only 1 wound suffered. For spells, we cast a Death Friend, so we finally get one off. We put it onto the 2 PCBs. Screech goes for a Dreaded 13th and fails. He gets a Mystic Shield put on him from one of the Greyseers. Then we do an Arcane Bolt, and we do ping 1 damage into that Trogboss. It gets through this time. Over here we pray, and we're trying to proc a Bubonic Plague. We do get it. We do 2d6 mortal wounds, and we do 3. That's pretty much all the hero phase things that matter, so we'll go into movement. But at the end of the hero phase, he's got to roll for his Troggboss artifact. He rolls and he rolls the 1. So now the artifact is gone. There's a little bit of hope here. If I can kill him and keep my Grand Strat alive, we've got a chance. So for movement, we start up. We run these guys over here onto the objective with this Grace here. These guys run over here, just getting away from the Mangler best they can. Juro hits a big run roll, gets up here on the objective. We then use that same run roll for these gutter runners and shoot them over this way. Blue Grace here stays up here. And again, just trying to stay in like blizzard range if that comes up later on. And then Screech wheels around and gets over as close to the Trogboss as he can. We do our shooting. The gutter runners can shoot even if they run. We do 5 damage to the Mangler. Screech doesn't do any damage with his tails, but we charge him in. We go into the combat, or we go into Monstrous Rampages. I get a roar off on the Trogboss. He tries to roar me back and fails. Screech pops his +1 to hit, +1 to wound command, swings into the Trogboss, and kills him. What a dream. Goes to his combat, he massacres these 2 PCBs down here. Skragrott fights, does a damage to Screech. And then that ends up being the turn. So we're still keeping pace as far as scoring 5. We got 1, 2 more. We got our battle tactic. Unfortunately, like now he's about to hit me. We'll see if we can score 5 one more time. We got to keep our heroes alive. So we still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 3 of them to live till the end of the game. So what this Mangler does over here and what these Fanatics do, we'll see how it shakes out. Bottom of 4, Gloomspite, his battle tactic is Glory Grabbers. He's got to take an objective from me using a unit that was summoned in. So he's got these 10 guys right here that could just walk onto an objective. He tries to cast some spells, doesn't get them off. Puts the extra rend onto the Boingrots, and we'll just go into movement. Mangler moves over here towards this objective. The Boingrots scoot in towards Screech. These 10 guys run onto this objective over here. Rockguts cruise down this way outside of 3. And the Fanatics move over towards this objective. Go to the shooting phase. The Rockguts, they kill this guy. And then charges, the Rockguts come in. Fanatics come in. And then the Boingrots come in as well. Skragrott, he had retreated out. And the Mangler too, he comes in. I unleash hail and do 2 damage. He does a few mortal wounds to these guys. Monstrous Rampage, he stomps a couple more of these guys out of existence. I roar the Boingrots, but they fight into Screech, and they kill him anyways. The Fanatics fought at the start of the combat phase. They only killed 4 clan rats. Over on this side, I just retreat out the Plague Priest. Goes to the Mangler, he piles in. Kills both of these. The Drill fights, and then he gets waxed by the Rockguts. Then last but not least, this Gracie over here piles in, fights into the Fanatics. I give him an all-out attack, and he picks him up, clears him. Then that's it. He gets 1, 2 more battle tactics, scores his 5 points. We go to a priority roll, and I win the last priority roll, so we're going to see what we can do. We had auto-passed these guys last turn. We got a couple of them back. This turn I roll for a command point, I get it, and I rally back some more clan rats. So top of 5 Skaven, my battle tactic is going to be led into the Maelstrom. It was pretty much the only thing I could still do. Cast a Mystic Shield onto the clan rats, and that's going to be it. That's relevant, and we'll go into movement. The clan rats move 6 over here towards the Rockguts. Grace here moves up 6 over here towards these Boingrots. And the Plague Priest goes over here towards the Mangler. We roll our charge with this guy first, since he's the weakest one that doesn't really matter. He gets an 8, so everybody's going to make it in. We go to the combat phase. The Gracie over here just retreats out. There's no way he's going to live. Goes over to his turn. He picks the Mangler Squig and just kills this guy before he can run away. I pile in and fight with the clan rats and don't do any damage. Then the Rockguts, they fight back into me. And I all-out defense. So between all-out defense and Mystic Shield, I'm +2. He swings in and only kills 3 clan rats. We go to Bravery. I lose a couple more, but then a couple of them come right back. So I end up holding 1, 2 more. We got our battle tactic for 5. Then it just goes over to his turn. He does Intimidate, comes in and just crushes everything I have on the board. Game over. 5 points for him at the end. And he ends up taking this one down by 2 points. And it was that failing that battle tactic early. It just put me on my back foot. I had to play in a way I didn't want to play. I don't like playing ultra aggressive with this list. Playing that slow, methodical game where I can score tactics kind of easy is just the better suited for the list. But when things happen, you have to adjust. You have to make plays. You have to go for it. And it's not just like a lucky thing where, oh, I rolled 2 1s and I lost the game. Like, my opponent, he played a great game. He kept the pressure on, kept killing everything. Like, there's opportunities where if he had made some mistakes, I could have still snagged this game and ran away with it. but he made good decisions. He killed the things he needed to kill, and that's why he won the game. So that's it, the Rats. We take a loss on this one. And that's all right. We'll try to get back on track next week, so we'll see you next Wednesday. And as always, if you ever need any models, check us out at warpfireminis.com. Thank you.